This is the Fearless Finance Podcast with Amy Ross. Amy and the team at Gold Shield Wealth are dedicated to helping adults plan for and manage the hurdles they may face on their journey to retirement. Get more, including contact information in the show notes. Now, Fearless Finance with financial advisor Amy Ross.
My name is Mark Owens. Amy, how is this weekend treating you?
It's amazing. It's summer. It's my favorite time of year.
Tourism. I mean, I know it's a lifeblood of a beach town as well.
It definitely is. It is a big lifeblood here.
Do you welcome it? Or do you get
yes. That's a double-edged sword. I love the tourism here. And I actually tell people a lot, I'm like, we are so blessed to live in a place that people save all year long to come here.
Yeah.
And so there are times that I love going to like Broadway at the beach with my kids or just anywhere and seeing all the joy that people have coming to my town where I get to live. So yes, I welcome the tourism. For the most part, it's, there's always good and bad in everything, Mark.
Sure.
Of course, nothing's perfect. However,
Amen.
I do believe that most of the people that come here just come for the reasons that I live here because it's just a great place to visit.
I like how you keep saying my town, my town.
It's my town.
Did I miss the election? Mayor Amy Ross, the mayor?
Well, I haven't decided to do that just yet, but I'll tell you, Myrtle Beach and Horry County and the Grand Strand area, it's stolen my heart, and I do fall in love with it more each day, really. It's just, my community, it has that sense of I belong here.
She lives here, works here, plays here, obviously loves the community of Myrtle Beach and the surrounding area. You can meet Amy and the entire team at goldshieldwealth.com. And you mentioned the good and the bad of tourism, but there's also a lot of good and bad in a market, especially a volatile market as well. And right now we're in the good of it. But if you watch enough financial TV, you'll notice a pattern. There's always a forecast and then a strategy built around said forecast. I want you to hear this clip from wealth manager Eddie Gabor. He was on Fox Business and they asked him what he's expecting from the market over the next couple of months.
You should expect a summer correction, but I would be buying those hand over fist because the biggest thing I've seen here is people have missed this rally. It's been really hated. They continue to ask how much higher can it go? And this is a real earnings story. These aren't just companies that are fly by night. And if we get a gift of another summer dip, we will buy hand over fist because I think by the time we get to the end of the year, markets are going to be much higher and we're going to surprise to the upside on growth economically as well as earnings projections.
So he's talking about buying the dip, and Amy, it's something you talk about every week here on Fearless Finance. You can't really time the market, but now there are opportunities.
Mark, the forecast isn't always correct either, right? How many times do you watch the weather and we batten down the hatches and the forecast is wrong? But, I will say the market is doing extremely well right now. And so I'm encouraging all of my investors to let's take advantage of it while we can. Obviously get while the getting's good. But I also highly suggest as well making a plan and putting a plan in place when things don't go so well. So we don't have everything invested in trusting that forecast that, as we know, can be flaky at times.
Looking back over the last 25 years, and if we look back, we think what has happened since the year 2000. You had the tech stock crash.
Well, we had the dot-com bubble in the year 2000. So if you look at the market performance in the 2000s, it doesn't look like 2010s or what we're seeing today.
Yeah.
So that's where I really try to talk to all of my people. Let's be real. Let's not have pipe dreams. Let's not live on just the positives, because right now it is fun, right? That's why everybody's loving the stock market right now and chasing those high returns. And, they've been able to achieve them. But the reality of the situation is it is the stock market. It's not going to be that way forever. And so that's where using wisdom and less emotion and, that greed, that gambler's mentality in retirement, you got to somewhat rein that in and do some soul searching within yourself of how much you really are willing to risk.
Yeah, the dot-com bust. And then what happened next? 9/11 happened. And then we had 2008 with a housing crash.
That was just a horrible decade.
Yeah.
It was a horrible nightmare for people. And, the retirees of today have lived through that, even though they were much younger at the time. But, that's where, you need to think about those things. Like, remember, you did live through this in your lifetime. This isn't something that you're reading about in history novels.
Yeah.
You lived it.
Back then, as we lived through that, we may have been in a different tax bracket. We may have just been in our accumulation phase. We may have been just learning how to manage our money. But 25,
pretty much, most
25
of the
years ago,
retirees
Amy.
today they really probably, most of them were idiots. I was too at that age.
Yeah.
Honestly, you're just in your 30s. Most people in your 20s and your 30s and even in your early 40s, you're just not really into it because retirement just seems so far away. I mean, you're still knee deep into paying for children's, tuitions and sports and everything else. But the reality is that, the retirement is here for people. And the last thing that I want is for someone to put all their eggs in the basket of the market saying, oh, it's been doing well, because you can read predictions from analysts, bearish or bullish. It's who do you choose to believe? And that's where I'm big on, let's take the emotion out. Let's take the greed out. Let's look at things with realistic lenses here.
And the reality is, can your portfolio withstand the next 25 years? Now is the opportunity, Amy, to really build upon the gains that you may have made in this record-setting
take
market.
some of your earnings, lock those in and be more intentional with how you invest them from there going forward, because that can be a nest egg for you for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
People are very short-sighted, and, you think about time. And I feel as though, personally, as I've gotten older, time goes faster.
Yeah.
And it's intangible, right? Because we're not guaranteed another day. None of us are. So a lot of people think, I won't be around. I'm going to die before I'm 90, or I'll die by 8. Well, you don't know that. We don't know that. And so using these tactics and to trick your own mind to make it okay to just go spin rogue or do things that are not wise, and that, it's almost like you have an angel on one shoulder and a devil on the other, and you're listening to the devil a little more than the angel, and you need to kind of balance that out a little bit. But it is, because we all want to go live our dreams. We all want to go spend money like it's burning, like grows on trees, like my dad used to say. I mean, money doesn't just not grow on trees. You can't just write a check and it be actually cashed. But it's hard to have all these desires and dreams and wishes and want them to be carried out. But you need a plan, and they're totally achievable. It's just most of the time it's sitting down and coming up with a decumulation strategy of how to actually spend your money, but get to keep the most of it as you can. Every dollar bill counts.
Preserving your assets while building income to and through retirement. You talk about angel and devil there. I mean, I have that situation every time I walk into like PGA Tour Superstore.
Or like a purse store or shoes. I mean, I get it. And I'm like, Amy, do you really need this? You already have 2 other ones that look almost the same.
Dude, that was Mickey Owens. That was my dad right there. Son, there's a difference between a want and a need. And to this day, I still hear him tell me that all the time.
But he's not wrong, is he?
Nope. Still with me all the time.
But here's the deal, though. In retirement, you want to be able to buy the wants just because you want to.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what a good strategy will get you. You don't have to have that argument anymore. You're like, well, I want it. It's okay. I'm going to buy it.
Amy wants to get you to a point where you don't have to worry about the angel and the devil. You can flick the devil off the side. You can say, because I've worked hard, I've earned this in retirement, and I've got the income to know that I can buy this new set of golf clubs.
You like to feel empowered.
Empowering you to and through retirement. 843-585-5223. Again, 843-585-5223. You can call, you can text. And we've talked about it a couple of times before, but I think it's worth breaking down, Amy. What can you do for me and my retirement plans with this body scan?
Basically what I can do is really analyze it, dissect it essentially, and look and see exactly where everything is at. The one thing that I use as an analogy is, most retirees have scattered puzzle pieces all over the place of their retirement, whether it be orphan 401ks and IRAs or, insurance products or whatever it may be. And they've bought things a la carte and scattered these puzzle pieces around. And so what I can do with a full body scan is locate all the pieces for starters.
Yeah.
Figure out what are we even working with and how do we form the picture of what we want retirement to actually be collaboratively. Like you have to look at things together at the end to figure out exactly how do I use this money wisely? Are these strategies still effective for me? Have I looked at taxes? Do I have my income needs met first and foremost? All those things. So generally when you've got things scattered all over the place, how on earth can you even make any sense of it to know if you actually have a true strategy in place?
Let's talk a little bit about long-term care and healthcare, because you really have this dialed in. This was part of your world for a long time, and you probably saw the story about Bruce Willis, diagnosed with dementia 3 years ago, and his wife, Emma, has been caring for him. Well,
That's
now,
so sad.
Isn't it awful? Now,
It's so sad.
the family's now expressed concerns about her well-being, saying it's become too much to care for Bruce. So now he's staying in a memory care facility. Now, some people might look at the cost of long-term care and say there's no way that they can afford it. But putting that on your family also has a high emotional cost. How do these conversations go?
It does. And it's funny. Last week, I had a conversation with someone about that exact topic. And, I worked with cancer patients for 20 years. So I firsthand saw the toll it takes on family members to have to take care of their loved one when they're dying. It goes beyond just the physical exertion that it takes when someone's body is breaking down. I mean, I lifted a lot of patients in my day, and I'll tell you, it's hard on your body. And we were trained to do it, right? We knew the physicality of like the motions of our body, how to bend and do that to not hurt ourselves. But beyond the physical grueling effect of it, it's that emotional. It's so emotional to watch someone that you love wither away right in front of you. And so the one thing that I encourage all of my retirees is to take a look at that and have resources set aside and planned for, to where if your family, if it's not a good fit, you'll be able to hire someone to come into your home and take care of you as a family member would, but they don't have that emotional connection to you because the family, it's hard on them in so many ways. I mean, it's watching people die is not easy. That's one reason, I spent my time and I did what I did, and I'm thankful for it, but it's sure relief to help people now. I use numbers to help people live their best lives rather than the other way around. Yeah. But, making a plan for that is highly important.
My father-in-law, Ben, my wife's dad, he had Alzheimer's and dementia, and towards the end, they had to put him in a memory care, and it was taxing. It was grueling. It was so hard on his daughters, on his wife, my mother-in-law, and I will say if there's any silver lining within any of this is that she had that plan put together. They had all the financials ready to go. I remember seeing the folder almost on a daily basis that had all the information, all the contact numbers, an elder care attorney's information, like everything. While it was a really, really tough time. And on top of that, this was during COVID as well. So we couldn't see him like we wanted to. So it was just, the whole thing
just
was
horrible.
Freaking nightmare.
Well, and here's one way to think about it. A lot of people walk into my office and they're so overwhelmed. By their retirement portfolios. They don't understand them. Navigating long-term care and that whole side of the world, when that day does come, if you do not have a plan in place, navigating that is as overwhelming and as scary as looking at your retirement portfolios now. And it's at a time in your life to where you're not as sharp, you're older, there's just many different things to navigate. So I always say it's better to make decisions when you have a clear mind to make them rather than having to make them when you're up against it. That's when bad decisions are made.
Amy Ross is very happy-go-lucky. She's very bubbly. She's a very personable person. But sometimes you're going to have these tough conversations. And there may be some times where, Amy, we don't like you. There may be times.
Well, we have to, though, because my job is to be honest with people. I have a fiduciary standard to uphold. And a lot of times that's telling people what they don't want to hear. And, it breaks my heart to have to do that. There are times I walk out of those rooms and I seriously cry because I'm like, I wish I didn't have to do that. But at the same time, it's on my shoulders to try to protect people and try to save them from themselves in any way I possibly can. Whether they decide to work with me after or not, I have to know I did the right thing. You
said a very important word right there, fiduciary. As an investment advisor representative, Amy Ross has a fiduciary responsibility to act in her client's best interest when offering or recommending investment advisory products and services. This means that within her capacity as an IAR, she is obligated to disclose any conflicts of interest when offering investment products. That is the legal mumbo jumbo. That is just the official CYA way to say that, Amy, you must put your client's interest above your own.
Absolutely. And I take that very, very seriously.
Right. 843-585-5223. Again, 843-585-5223. All right, let's talk about income. Income is the outcome that matters the most in retirement, Amy. There was a new Ipsos study that asked financial advisors if they are adjusting retirement plans for the current economy. 65% said yes, and many are using a strategy they've never used before, that being an annuity. So what is it, in your opinion, about the annuity that's appealing to retirees today where it may not have been as attractive 10 years ago?
The rates. An annuity is an insurance product. So the rates that we're seeing on annuity products today are at all-time highs. So that's where when I look at income for my clients, I look at there's different ways you can do it, right? You can do it through a stock portfolio, but you can also do it through an income annuity or even just protect some money in an annuity to where you know that you have no volatility in the money. But yeah, they're beautiful additions. The rates on them are just amazing. I can't really quote rates over the radio to say, but it's definitely worth looking at a comparison and to see exactly what a man-made pension is. No matter what happens with the market, no matter who's elected into office, as long as my money is in a good carrier, which I'm extremely, I would say, bougie snobby about. I'm a company snob. I want someone who's like really good, top echelon and all that. But that's what it gives people is that confidence to know that no matter what, this money's still coming for me every single month till the day I die. And my spouse, even if we live to be 120 years old, it has to keep coming.
It's okay to be bougie sometimes, Amy. I think
you know
we've
what?
earned it.
When it's in my client's best interest, I'm extremely critical and I am very picky. And I am, why wouldn't you? I have so many companies. Why wouldn't I choose the best caliber of whatever I can find? So I love doing that. I'm a very good personal shopper. So as long as I know what I'm shopping for, I will find the best one on the market that I can possibly get my hands on because that's important to me.
Yeah. So as we're talking about annuities, great opportunities for income to and through retirement, there are some people, Amy, that we've gotten calls from this show before. People say, Amy, I'm interested. I want to sit down. Got some question about income, got some question about taxes. But if you mention the word annuities, I'm walking out the door. There are some people that just don't like them. Why is that?
You know what? It's all a personal preference. And I usually ask people, I'm like, listen, I can create whatever you want. Yeah. If there's something that you just don't like, just tell me that because I have a workaround for it. But a lot of times people annuities are sold by their insurance products, and they're just like anything else. There are good stocks, there are bad stocks, right? Everything has good and bad. And annuities a lot of times are misused. They're not used intentional as pieces of portfolios to, because it's an insurance product. So you have to buy it for a goal, buy it for something you want it to cover. And so a lot of times people buy the wrong type of an annuity, or they get into something that they didn't understand the fees and things like that. And so they're disgruntled and unhappy. And, and generally people don't report good things. They're going to go on Yelp and report bad things way faster than good things. So I think it's a loaded gun. And honestly, annuity rates haven't been as good as they are and they have been for the last couple of years prior to. So there's many different reasons why some may say, oh, I don't want to see an annuity. But a lot of times with those people, what I will say is this: I'm never going to shove an annuity down their throat, ever. I'm never going to shove anything down someone's throat. If they don't like it, they don't like it. But give me a chance to educate you on it first, because I believe knowledge is power. And once I've shown you in my keep it simple, stupid way, that you fully understand the concept of the annuity, because that's the whole key, the concept, the why would I use that? If you still don't like it then, well, then we just throw that off the table because I got all kinds of other stuff I can put in the place of it. But I believe that everybody deserves to be taught, to be explained to, and then that way they can make a decision and feel empowered again, that they feel like they're making that decision based on knowledge and not just, oh, well, Johnny said this, or read, things on the internet. That's not stable. Depending on how you search it, that's the result you're going to get.
Yeah.
So that's how I handle that. If they say they don't like annuities, okay, that's fine. But has anyone ever actually shown you how one works?
No, because Amy, I saw a commercial from some guy that said he doesn't like annuities. So
and there are, shocker, there are many other products out there that aren't 10-year durations or 14-year durations, or there are so many different kinds of annuities that, if you can really hone in on what you're trying to find, what are we trying to cover? That's how you start. That's how you send me shopping. We got to figure out what I'm shopping for.
Have you seen that? There have been studies recently saying that, is that story we just talked about? Annuities are up right now. More people looking at them. I heard that,
it's insane. It's insane. It's like way up.
Really?
Way up. Because I think a lot of people realize that the market is up and it has been up for a long time. So there are some people that are coming back down to reality and saying, maybe I should lock in some of these gains over here. Yeah. Or, I've got RMDs coming up soon. Maybe I should shouldn't have all this money in the market. Maybe I should put some of it in a fixed indexed annuity with, to protect it. That way, if I have to take money out, I'm not taking it out of something that's 20 or 30% underwater already. So there's just different ways to look at that. Like, again, why would we buy the annuity? What are we trying to head off?
Yeah.
Because in retirement, we want to be a step ahead of the game, right? We want to be, we've got a plan to get us all the way home in this baseball game. And if we can be a step ahead of them, why wouldn't we be?
Ooh, you just said 3 little letters right there, RMDs, required minimum distributions. And a lot of people, Amy, you've said it before, a lot of people don't really overlook it, but don't understand how that can be a bit of a tax burden in retirement.
It can be a massive burden because it can increase your Medicare costs, your taxes, and everything. But even beyond that, what a lot of people also don't think about is if you haven't mitigated taxes and made a plan for going back to long-term care again, and you have to pull out, $150,000 a year out of money that hasn't been taxed yet, well, then again, you could be paying 3 times what you should be for your Medicare premiums in your 80s, right? So that's where looking at those taxes sooner than later and really starting to put a tax strategy into place can save your hind end big time when RMDs start to come or when you really need to start using that money.
So if you want more information about an annuity, you can call, you can text. Again, that number 843-585-5223. I think we can't get out of here this weekend without wishing a big happy birthdays. One of our favorite country artists, Luke Bryan, 50 years old this weekend. Yeah, you talk about Myrtle Beach and tourists and everything. This beach music to me right now. Are you a speaker at the beach, girl? Or do you just listen to the waves and the conversation?
I like the waves and I like to read.
Yeah.
That's more my jam. And honestly, when the people bring the speakers around us and they're blaring their music, that makes me mad. That is one thing that's a pet peeve. I'm like, this is so rude. What makes you think I want to listen to your music all day?
Your playlist that you've already heard 5,000 times before, I don't want to hear it once.
But it's generally not ever really anything that you'd want to listen to. Like the people that do that, it's like weird music.
Now, I will say, I used to be that guy. I was that guy that would bring my speaker to the beach. But now I have so few days with my feet in the sand. You better believe the waves and the conversation from the family and maybe the cracking open of a cold one. That's all the noise that I need, Amy. That's it. That's all I need.
It's perfect, right? That's what I think. I love the waves and which I was on the beach the other day and I was enjoying my beach time and I happened to notice that everybody around me was packing up their umbrellas and I happened to turn around and look behind me and it was a big black wall of clouds and I barely made it to my car before it completely dumped on us.
All right, so big happy birthday to Luke Bryan. He's another country star who just opened up a bar in Nashville, been around for a couple minutes. Luke's 32 Bridge is what it's called. Obviously, live music, food, drinks, outdoor seating. But I think, Luke is in obviously a different tax bracket. But for you, Amy, for the adults that come to you and they say, Amy, I've done pretty good. I've got some pretty good buckets in retirement. I want to open up my own bar. I'm ready to really take that jump in retirement and open up a small business. Or I want to help my friend open up his little bar or restaurant. So when they want to dip into their retirement savings for a new adventure, how do you have that conversation? What is that like?
You have to look and see how much do we have to work with.
Yeah.
That's the key right there. And only after our income needs met, not just for today, but for the other decades that I hope that my clients are living with me.
Right.
So there's so many questions that have to have basically yes answers before I would ever recommend someone to do that, to take their savings and put it into a business. Because I'll tell you, I've built a business. I can personally tell people how hard it is, and I will be real about it. And, a lot of times things do not go the way you've planned them, especially here in Myrtle Beach. A lot of these businesses you'll see, the ones that have been around for a long time, there's a reason, but there's also a revolving door of many, many, many that don't ever make it, So I would have a very real, almost a come to Jesus conversation with my client, but if they have millions of dollars and, it's all relative, Mark. It really is based on how much you have.
Yeah. And, we want to support the small businesses, obviously, but we also...
Obviously, yes.
Yeah, but we
need to be realistic.
Exactly. because every dude has the dream. I'm going to open up a tiki bar at the beach. We grew up watching Cheers. We all want to have the Sam Malone moment. We want to have Woody as a bartender. We want Norm sitting in the corner. That's our dream. But you don't realize how expensive it is.
Yeah, it is. And that's what I was, a lot of people too, I'll ask, because I've had these conversations. I'm like, okay, well, let's get more details here.
Yep.
How much is this going to cost per year? And, a lot of times people just miss out on a lot of the smaller expenses that I know exist in running a business.
Yep.
So like I said, it's not a hard no, but, it's definitely something that is looked at very, 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 very closely with a magnifying glass to make sure that it is a good idea. A lot of times too, I get asked about buying second homes. Mm-hmm. I'm going to take out a home equity loan on this house and buy this other house. And, I strongly discourage a lot of those things because life is so unpredictable, especially once you hit that retirement age. After age 70, things change pretty fast for most people, whether they want to acknowledge that or not. I've seen it. I've watched it for years.
And when you work with Amy and the team at Gold Shield Wealth, that may not be a hard no about opening up that little beach bar, but it is going to be a hard conversation. And we don't have much time to get into this one. If you're going to invest in your friend's bar, boy, nothing could tear apart a friendship by loaning somebody money.
Oh, yeah. There's that whole facet of it, too, right? Generally, you just don't mix business and pleasure.
That's it.
You don't. There's other ways you could say that, right? Yep. You just don't do that.
You can call, you can text this weekend, or you can spend some time at goldshieldwealth.com. Well, Amy, as always, thank you. Thank you for the education and the information this weekend. We are back next weekend. But before we get out of here, Amy Ross, let's give you the final word.
Well, I just want to say thanks, everyone, for listening to me again this week. I do have a couple of dinner seminars that I'm very excited about, my educational seminars. If you want to give the number a call, 843-585-5223. They're up on the North Carolina end, two beautiful venues up toward the Sunset Beach, Ocean Isle Beach area. So if you haven't been to hear me at one of those, give us a call because I believe everybody deserves help and would love to speak with each and every one of you to help you live your dreams out in retirement.
Insurance products are offered through the insurance business Gold Shield Wealth Financial. Gold Shield Wealth is an investment advisory practice that offers products and services through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IPW, a registered investment advisor. IPW does not offer insurance products. The insurance products offered by Gold Shield Wealth Financial are not subject to investment advisor requirements. Gold Shield Wealth Financial and IPW are not affiliated companies. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This radio show is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual situation. Gold Shield Wealth is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during the show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Gold Shield Wealth. This radio show is a paid placement. Any and all services related to Medicare are an outside business activity and are not offered through or supervised by Impact Partnership Wealth, IPW, LLC. Gold Shield Wealth has a strategic partnership with tax professionals and attorneys who can provide tax and or legal advice.